Welcome to From Beyond with your host, Glenn Boddice. Join me as we explore spirituality, self-help, and channeling spirit. Hello and welcome to From Beyond with your host Glenn Boddice, spiritual medium. Thank you for tuning in for another very interesting deep dive of an episode. As in this week's show, we're going to be discussing the topic of following your calling. Also in this week's episode, we have the channeling from the world of spirit, which sees me becoming a vessel for spirit to bring their wisdoms and communications forward. And then later on in the show, we have this week's energy forecast reading, which will hopefully help you navigate your way through the twists and turns of this week ahead. So let's get cracking. As I say, we're going to be discussing the topic of following your calling. What am I talking about when I say that? I'm talking about basically our career path, or what we're meant to be doing, who we're meant to be helping, where we're meant to be in the world, and so on and so forth. But I'm going to dive in a little bit further with this by breaking this down. So first of all, to follow your calling, most importantly, you need to get to know you more. I know that sounds very obvious, but let's start at the obvious beginning. So getting to know you more implies that you know more about your personality traits, your likes, your dislikes, what makes you feel empowered, what takes away your power, what makes you feel excited, what gets you into positive vibrations, what makes you feel alive and excited in every moment. Get to know all of those and you'll be on your way to following your calling. So it sounds obvious as I say, but it needs addressing. Some people, and I'm not judging, go throughout their life where they don't really know themselves because they've followed the general narrative of what's expected of them, socially, collectively, and they've kind of fallen into place and just followed everybody else. And in doing so, if that's what feels right to you, then go for it. But in doing so, a lot of people lose themselves and they realize that they're following somebody else's dream and not their own. And that can be very frustrating when you arrive at that eureka moment, shall we say. So rather than going through all of that and feeling those frustrations, those hurts, and again, following somebody else's vision, then get to know you, and that will be the start of this process. Also, I would say, get to know your natural talents and abilities. So some of you may be great sportsmen and women. You may be good at football, basketball, netball, golf, cricket, whatever it is. You may be a good singer, you may be a good dancer, you may be good at crocheting, maybe good at administration work and facts and figures and retaining them and retaining that information. The list could go on, but my point being is, when you get to observe and notice your natural skill sets, then that, I would suggest, is part of your calling. And so explore that further. Obviously, if these natural talents and abilities are bringing you joy on some level, and you find that it's very easy to do, it's bringing you joy, it's giving you the abundance that you need, and it's just making you feel good, then obviously pursue those things with playful curiosity by going with the flow. See where it takes you, because you never know, and trust the process as you do that. With doing this, though, obviously, if your natural talents and abilities give you that fire, that magnetic pulling in your gut instincts, they make you feel excited. And you don't know how you know, but you just feel it, that this is going to take me somewhere. This is going to lead somewhere. I can feel it in my waters. I don't know where, I don't know when, I don't know the people, I don't know the finances, I don't know any of that, but all I know is that I feel a very strong feeling that this is what I'm meant to be doing, and I need to follow that and trust those feelings. Now, to a lot of people, that might sound like an old lot of mumbo jumbo. I can't even say the words. But in actual fact, this is your soul amplifying those feelings and those sensations, kicking you into that, I would say, magnetic calling, that satellite navigation system, which is your higher self, your soul, shall we say. And it's just giving you, shall we say, breadcrumbs. And you have to make that decision. And if it feels right for you, then you have to make that decision. Say, okay, I'll try this a little bit longer, see where it goes. And just trust every step of the process. And it is an exciting journey, particularly when you don't know the outcome. And in today's society, there is an emphasis on you need a start, a middle, and an end. And if you haven't got those elements in place, then why bother? But in actual fact, if we were to know absolutely every single detail on our journey, on our life path, a lot of the time, a lot of us, if we put our hands on our heart, we wouldn't bother taking the risks, taking the chances. And that's a shame, really, because as you know, life is a journey, and a lot of these risks and opportunities that we take and explore, they offer grounds of learning for us. And what I mean by that, without going through those situations, we wouldn't have the wisdom, we wouldn't have the knowledge, we wouldn't have the contrast in our lives to actually stand back and say, well, actually, I've tried that before. I didn't like it, so I'm going to try this instead, whatever this represents in your life. And so we need that level of contrast in order for us to come to our own conclusions and make our own choices in life there. So it's very important, I feel, that we don't necessarily need to know the end outcome, the end goal. By following your instincts, by trusting them, and just taking that leap of faith day by day, incrementally, you will start to notice that you will learn things along the way. Some things are good, some things are bad, depending on how you're perceiving them. But definitely, they're all leading to something. They're leading to something propelling you forward. And with this, I've found that the universe will offer and show you some signs along the way, just to give you some hints that actually, even though you don't know the end outcome, you're on path, you're on point. And this little sign is to prove that to you. Now, obviously, to see these signs, you have to be very observational. You have to be paying attention, because let's face it, a lot of us on a daily basis, we're that consumed with the work, with family, with things that we have committed to, that we don't always see these signs. And let me just illustrate what these signs potentially could be. One of them is number plates on vehicles. I mean, how many of you have seen number plates with names, with numbers, with part words on there? And that alone could be an indication, a sign, if you will, from the universe that actually you're on the right path, and continue to follow that, because it will lead to bigger and better things. Another sign could be when you're out and about and you hear people talking in earshot of you, and you pick up on a few of the key words that they're speaking about. And those words, these people don't know you from Adam, so to speak. These words actually relate to the very thing that you are doing or wanting to do, again, following your calling there. And it's amazing how these synchronicities all lock in together when you have that experience. It still blows my mind to this day, witnessing all of these things. And then obviously we have angel numbers, which are numbers. I mean, maths and numbers are everywhere we go. And so if you're particularly drawn to a certain number, or a number catches your eye when you're out and about, then don't just walk away and ignore it. Write it down. And then do a little bit of research when you have the opportunity. I always advise people to check the angel number meaning for those particular numbers. And what that indicates is that those angel numbers correspond with, I would say, a small reading about a paragraph in length, which will give you a bit of information, a bit of guidance, if you will. So when you do see these numbers, don't ignore them, because there's guidance and there's signs there from the universe. Now, music also plays a massive role with signs from the universe. And it's something that we all hear on a day-to-day basis. Most of us do anyway. And so pay attention to the songs that you are hearing with your physical ears. And if you can get to know the artist and the name of the song, then that's a bigger bonus as well. And I believe nowadays you can get an app on your phone that will actually listen to the music that's playing in your vicinity. And through the gift of AI, it will tell you who that artist is and also what the song title is. So there's ways and means of finding out this information. The reason why I bring that up is because I would advise you to research the lyrics, listen to the song as well, because songs contain frequency, energy, high vibrational healing codes there. And potentially you listening to that music could be the healing that you need to shift you out of an old way of thinking that will engage you into thinking and helping you to follow your calling. I know that sounds a little bit out there, but it's a very true fact indeed. I've witnessed that many times. But more often than not, the lyric content within that song will give you some sort of message that will correlate to you following your calling or what you happen to be going through in your life. So do pay attention. Also, animal totems. So if you happen to see a fox that ran in front of you whilst you was driving. Obviously, you didn't knock it over or anything like that. You just saw it in the distance. You recognize that it was a fox. And again, research that animal totem on the internet. And again, there will be a message within that, a meaning that can correlate to you actually giving you that confidence in following your calling there. So there's many, many ways in which the universe can deliver messages. Another way is obviously if you have the TV on, the TV contains a lot of advertisement nowadays, and all of a sudden an advert comes on and it's saying the very things that you needed to hear in order to follow your calling. Again, another example. I could go on and on, but I'm not going to. So all I'm saying to you is just observe these signs from the universe. They're everywhere. And if you're feeling a little bit lost and out of synchronization, then potentially these messages can take you to the next run of the ladder on your life's calling there. I want to say that inspiration will find you rather than you looking for it. And this usually happens when you least expect it. And it can come in many forms, such as people. I mean, how many times have you bumped into somebody you haven't seen for ages and they're asking you what you're doing? What are you doing now? And you tell them, oh, that's interesting. And then they say, actually, I've got a friend that may be able to help you. And they do this and they do that. Now, you wouldn't ever have known that unless you had that conversation with that person. And that person will then pass your details on. And this is where the opportunities will find you, just by you living and speaking your truth and actually owning who you are and what you do. So don't be afraid of sharing with people, even if you're just starting out on this journey of following your calling. Like I say, your calling could be anything. It could be, maybe helping out at the local Scouts hut. It could be a new job that you're creating, being self-employed. Whatever it happens to be, don't be afraid about speaking up and telling people about it. Have that confidence, because you never know where it could lead. It could potentially get you clients, as I've just suggested. It could get you new opportunities or help with funding, or even support, physical support by other volunteers, something like that. So don't be afraid. And by showing up in your life and owning your truth, what you will find is that you will have a magnetic pull towards you, and you'll get everything you need when you need it, including the opportunities. Now, if you're anything like me, I've done this for years, and hands on heart, I wish that I hadn't. And this is where opportunities have found me. But because where I've been mentally and emotionally, I haven't been in a place to accept them. Maybe I thought that I wasn't worthy of these opportunities, or some other level there. Maybe I didn't feel it was right for me at that moment in time. And in doing that and having those feelings, rather than exploring them further, I said no, or I ignored them and didn't pursue them further. And as a result of that, I potentially could have missed out on a variety of opportunities that were coming my way. So I would always advertise to you, if that's the right term, to actually just give these things a try. Even if it feels a little bit strange to you, if an opportunity comes your way, then certainly go for it, explore it. You can always try it for a while, and if it doesn't work out, then you can go back to what you was doing or try something different. But, never push these opportunities away, because on some level, I do feel as though they're divinely orchestrated to help you on your pathway. So also, I want to talk to you about trusting the process. Now, as I said earlier, when you are following your calling, the general narrative nowadays is that you need to know what you're doing, a start, a middle, and an end goal, if you like. But in actual fact, by having that end goal in sight, that can take away a lot of the fun and a lot of the excitement and a lot of the opportunities that are finding you, because you're so fixed and rigid on that end outcome that you miss all of these opportunities that are around you because you're too focused on that end outcome. And it's good to be focused, don't get me wrong. It's good to have a goal. But on some level, I feel as though there needs to be an element of trust. And trust in your higher self, trust in you for starters, and then trust in the universe and all of these levels of trust in place there. What you will find is the process will take you one step at a time. You'll never get anything in your life that you can't cope with. So the universe will deliver the things that it knows that on some level you will be stretched, definitely, you'll be pushed to the max. But the universe knows, and your higher self knows, that you can deal with it, you can cope with it. So that's why it's showing up in your life there. So take one step at a time. And in doing that, I would certainly recommend that you celebrate your successes, no matter how big or how small they appear to be. Now, success can be anything, can't it? It can be the fact that you showed up in the world today and you spoke to somebody, and that somebody had a connection that will help you on your pathway. That would be a success. A success would be ticking one of the itineraries on your to-do list off and saying, well, I've done that today. Excellent. That's one less job. Now I need to focus on tomorrow, and I can do that. So I'm one step closer to following my calling. So it can be anything really, but trusting the process, take one step at a time and just see where it takes you. Enjoy the journey. That's what it's all about. Another thing that's very important is ignoring the distractions. And distractions can come in many forms, can't they? This can be people, as I like to call them, naysayers. When you tell people what you're doing and then they say, why are you doing that for? Oh, I don't know how you could do that. I couldn't do that. Oh dear, I wouldn't do that. Have you thought this one through? What about the money? Are you going to be all right for that? You hear a lot of that negative speak, and sometimes it's nice to hear it, to be honest, because it does give you food for thought. It enables you to maybe think outside of the box, potentially where you have been thinking. So in many respects, it can serve you. But on the other end of that, these distractions can pull your vibration down. And if you allow them, they can dilute your vision of following your calling. And maybe because the energy or the distractions are so strong, you may even reach a point where you think, do you know what? I'm not going to bother anymore. It doesn't seem worth it. I'm not really getting anything out of it. I'm going to stop doing that now. You may start thinking that, and that's because you've been influenced by other people around you rather than listening to your truth, your true inner calling. and it takes you away from your path in many respects there. So I would say ignoring certain distractions. Other distractions can be social media, can't it? The news. Distractions can be people inviting you out to places and taking you off your path because you're having to stop what you're doing and go and join them, and sometimes we need a break, so don't always say yes or no. Trust your intuition with that one. So I just wanted to make you aware of the distractions that can potentially take you off of your calling there. I would say as well, following on to that when you do follow your calling, some way along that pathway, you're going to have to make some sacrifices. Nobody likes to hear that term, do they? You've got to make sacrifices. But the reality of it is you're going to, if you're wanting to follow your calling there. And the sacrifices may be, I'll give you some examples. As you know, I'm self-employed. I'm a spiritual medium and a teacher and a coach and a radio presenter, author, amongst many, many, many things. There's many strings to the bow there. But to enable me to do those things, I do have to make sacrifices. And what I mean by this is that I have to decline invitations out. I don't drink alcohol, and I tend to avoid places where there is alcohol if I can, to keep my vibration as buoyant and high vibrational as possible. And also I have to make sacrifices in my social life. A lot of the time is spent with my family or by myself there, communicating with my spirit team. And that's very important that I do that to do the work that I do. But it is a sacrifice. Also, some of the foods that I consume as well, I have to make sacrifices with those because that can have an impact on the work that I do. A lot of people go away on holidays, for 2 weeks at a time abroad, and that's fine if you can do that. I'm not having a go at people for doing that, but what I'm saying is that personally I make that sacrifice where I don't do that because obviously being self-employed, you don't get holiday pay. You have to keep on working, and also, it could potentially be a distraction if you was on holiday. Sometimes we need a break, definitely. And don't get me wrong, I do have breaks because, as I've said to you before, I do go off on my adventures. I have a camper van, so to speak, and I do get to have a few days here, one weekend, a few days there, another weekend. So I do get to reset my vibes in that respect and do get time away. But I don't have the opportunity of having 2 weeks away solid because, again, that's me making a sacrifice to follow my truth and my path there as well. But what you will find making these sacrifices, it's not just a job that you do. It's not just a career that you do. When you're following your path, it's a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle choice because you're aware that whatever it is you're doing will have an impact on your calling. So I've given you a few examples of how things potentially would have an impact on my calling. So obviously I'm making sacrifices there. And sometimes you wish that, you could go out and do this and do that and the other. But long term, it would have a dramatic impact on you following your calling. It may deviate you from your path and stop you from flowing in the work that you do. And with myself being a spiritual medium, it could even block up the gifts and abilities with other people's emotions and agendas there. So again, I have to make sacrifices, and you will too on some level, perhaps not as dramatic as mine, but on some level to follow your true calling, you will have to make some tweaks and changes there. And it's not a bad thing. It's not as bad as what you would imagine. You do get used to it. You make the choice whether you want to do it or not. Nobody's telling you to do that. But it does benefit you in the long term of things, definitely. I would also say to you, keep showing up and pushing forward because it's so easy to throw in the towel and say, that's me done. I've given it my best shot. Can't do any more. This is where a lot of people fall by the wayside, isn't it? And I would say those people that are following their path and are true to their calling don't take no for an answer. They'll always find a way of achieving something or doing something. And so by keep showing up and pushing forward, looking outside of the box and being open to inspiration, you will always find a way to continue to follow your calling there. So don't throw in the towel. Trust in the ability of your higher self, your truth, and the universe will deliver that guidance, the people that you need, the finances that you need in your life to enable you to do this. So trust the process. That is my point. I would also say that the right connections, such as people, business connections, clientele, and I would say the right resources if you need, I don't know, office equipment, or if you need some technology to enable you to make your life a little bit easier following your calling there. I would say that you would get the inspiration, you will get those things coming into your life when you need them. It may not be the exact moment that you're thinking of them, but you'll get those resources and the people and the opportunities when you're aligning with divine timing. And so again, it all stems back to having faith, having trust in your abilities and your connection to your truth there. And this will enable these things to come into your life in unexpected ways. You know, I'm sure many of you that are listening to this have experienced many minor miracles in your life where you said, I don't believe it. This has happened and I've got this and I've been offered this. Where's that come from? I certainly wasn't pushing for it and it's just sort of happened. Again, this is, the right place, the right time, these things coming into your life there. And I want to say also that you'll start to, I know I'm not really selling it very well, am I? Following your calling, especially with the term sacrifices, that you have to make sacrifices. But actually, there becomes a time where you do feel very content and very proud of who you are and what you've achieved. And the people that you're helping, the people that you're interacting with, all because you've listened to your inner calling, your truth, and you've taken that time and courage and bravery to take incremental steps to make it happen. And that's to be celebrated because not everybody has that ability. I mean, the abilities are there, but not everybody makes those choices to make these things happen. So you should be tremendously proud of yourself for taking yourself to the next run of the ladder and keep celebrating these mini victories because the energy in what you bring forward by doing that will give you more, I would say, encouragement, will push you forward more and give you that propulsion. That's probably the word I'm after, to help you continue following your calling. For me personally, as I say, I'm a spiritual medium amongst other things. And there have been times, where you are taken to the wire financially and also with your time and energy, because when you're working with spirit, you have to keep your energy as pure as possible, as high vibrational as possible to make that strong link and connection. And sometimes, I'll be honest, you feel absolutely drained. Maybe you've worked with a client that's going through a lot in their life, emotionally, mentally, physically, that, you pick up on those things. So you have to make sure that you're cleaning your vibration, that you're keeping yourself protected and grounded and setting some healthy boundaries of what you will and what you won't accept in terms of working with clients. That's just for me on a personal level, being a spiritual medium. It will vary, obviously, depending on what your true calling is and what you're following. But it's very important, I would say, right from the get-go, if you can, to set some healthy boundaries of your time, your attention, your emotions, your resources, and what you're prepared to do. And then once you have that and you communicate that openly and freely to either clientele or the people that you're associated with, then everybody has a respectful understanding and nobody will push the boundaries, so to speak. You may get the odd one or two that do try to push the boundaries, and that's where you just simply remind them of the fact, well, this is what I operate under, this is what I will accept, this is what I don't accept. And then, everybody's put in their place, so to speak, and that makes things run a lot more smoothly rather than anticipating that you're going to do this and they're going to do that. Just set your stall out, basically, so everybody knows where they stand. But like I say, there's a great feeling of contentment and feeling complete when you're listening and following your calling, because all the pieces of the puzzle in your life will start to come together, and you'll start to realize, oh, that's why that opportunity didn't work out for me in my life. Oh, that's why that job didn't work out for me in my life, because I wasn't meant to be doing that full time. Yes, it was part of my path. It enabled me to learn certain skills which are transferable into the role that I'm doing, but it was all leading to this moment. So there's that eureka moment when you arrive at this destination, and it's on many respects, you look back and you sort of assess your life thinking, well, if I'd have chose this direction, I would have arrived at this destination a lot quicker rather than having to go through struggle. Quite rightly so. But I would say, as I said earlier, that some of these elements of struggle that we go through are part of our path, the tapestry of our life that enables us, through the gift of contrast, to make a positive choice, and we arrive at that destination ourselves rather than being told about it. So I would say, don't pull yourself down. Things happen for a reason. Go with the flow, trust the process, and it's all working out for you. Have that faith and patience. Take one step at a time, and just enable that fire in your belly, that magnetic calling, to propel you forward onto the next run of the ladder. You will be absolutely amazed of how your life will unfold in positive ways once you start to follow your calling. Well, I'd like to thank you all so much for your generous support and help and your kind wishes and healing that has been sent my way. For those of you who aren't aware, I have experienced a little bit of a health issue over these last few weeks. And consequently, I've had to take some time off of work in order to recuperate and get myself back onto my feet there. I won't go into too much detail, but needless to say, I had to have an operation, a minor operation. But for somebody that's never had an operation in their life, it was quite a traumatic experience. I'm very grateful to all of the hospital staff and all of the support and help and guidance and love that I've received through this process. And it's been quite an unusual time because, as most of you know, I'm a very busy person as I work morning, afternoon and night. And to suddenly have a full stop that happens in your life where you can't do any of the work that you so enjoy doing and you love doing, it was quite a bit of a head scratcher. But the part of me that likes to control and be organized had to take this time off where I had to go with the flow and trust the process, that everything was happening for a reason and for the greater good. And I do feel a lot better from going through this experience. It's given me time to reset my vibration, get the energy back as well, and also to rethink certain avenues in my life as well, where I'm giving my time and attention to, and how to make some new changes. But I did see this as an end of a chapter, so to speak, and a beginning of a new one. And so with that being the case, with any new chapter that starts or just is beginning to start, I felt this level of excitement as I could see in the horizon various projects and opportunities coming my way. And it was a case of me actually going with the flow. And as I say, I feel that this health issue that I've gone through, it allowed me, because I'm very stubborn, it allowed me to have no option but to stop, to pause, to make space, to clear the debris for the new coming into the new chapter in my life. So it's been a very transformational process over the last 2 weeks. And I can't begin to describe how grateful I am to, like I say, the hospital staff, the carers, my family as well, for the support and help that they've delivered. With no question, this abundance of unconditional love and help and guidance that they've shared with me has been phenomenal. And this goes to all the supporters of my work as well, friends and family, the amount of messages that I've received and the healing, Reiki healing, vibrational healing, prayers that I've received over the last few weeks. It has really touched my heart and it's touched my soul. And I didn't anticipate for 1 minute that there would be that volume of level of people that had me in their thoughts and that thought of me in that respect. So I'm so grateful, I'm so blessed, and I'm so happy really to have received all of that. So thank you to all of you that have sent that. It does mean the absolute most to me. So thank you so much. Anyway, we're now going to move into the next segment of the show, which is this week's channeling from the world of spirit. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the information that spirit are bringing through.
Hello, my name is Mark Edward Johnson, and I've been elected to step forward today to come and bring some information about what you all can be doing at this moment in time. A lot of you are facing challenges on a personal and emotional level. So what our advice would be to you at this time would be to work through and process the emotions that you are keeping buried within inside of yourself. Now, a lot of you will find this difficult because you're having to come to terms with elements of yourself that aren't necessarily correct or true. And you'll find yourself feeling embarrassed and very, your ego will be bruised, put it that way. But to help you move through the situation and to heal, you have to be willing to be exposing those roots of the issues emotionally. A lot of you will be facing this, and it will be very transformative because you're releasing your perception of how things are meant to be, and you're releasing that need to control up to the universe so that the universe and creator source energy can work through you in a more direct fashion. It is a process like most things, and you will find that one step at a time is just enough. We ask that if you wish to work on yourself on a daily basis by just acknowledging these old energies that you harbor within yourself, and that alone will shift their vibration and move them on. There'll be a lot of you listening to this that will find yourself being agitated, and a lot of aggression will come up, and it will surprise and shock a lot of you that you hold this energy within inside of you because you do not display it. And we say this has been building up for many, many, many years, and it's now time. There'll be an accelerator, a trigger, if you will, that will amplify this experience so that you can release some of these trapped energies that we speak of. Don't resist, don't fight it. All we ask is that you allow that old energy to move through you in a respectful manner, so no harm will come to anyone with you doing that. Moving on with this topic of conversation, as many of you are experiencing difficulties with your financial and day-to-day living expenses. And this is due to what we would describe as economic greed. There's those that control the many are clutching on and squeezing you for every penny that you are worth. And the reason they're doing this is to put you into a period of enslavement. So you have to follow their rules and regulations because you have nothing, so to speak. However, they're banking on this. However, When you have nothing to lose. And so there's going to be a lot that rise to the surface and turn the tables of this situation around so that wealth is distributed evenly. And we understand that is difficult for you to imagine at this moment because it's never been that way before. But we assure you the tables are turning and there's going to be a lot of change in terms of your financial system, as a lot of it is going to crash and it's no longer feasible for it to exist in the format that it is. Because there's a lot of people that are struggling to make ends meet. And there are those in power that are making demands on their resources, trying to transfer their wealth over to them, squeezing them, as we've said previously. But when you have nothing left to give and you have nothing coming in to give, then this is where the entire system will break and a new system will emerge from it. So our message is to you is to keep feeling into the vibration of abundance and prosperity. It doesn't matter whatever your circumstances are, but if you hold that frequency, you will always get enough. You will always get what you need, and you will always have food on the table and warmth in your home, and you'll get what you need in order to fulfill your purpose. So don't panic, because the powers that are operating this are banking upon you panicking and generating fear vibration so that they can feed off of that energy and use it to create their very own narrative. So don't succumb to this old way of being. It's going to change. There is a vibrational shift, as we say, and there's a lot that needs to move. But this year is the predominant catalyst for you to start and see changes in each and every one of your lives. And we're talking about positive changes, where the balance is slowly being restored and a new timeline is being created. So we ask you to stay humble, stay kind. Do not judge others. Do not put anybody else in that vibration of fear. We ask that you remain positive and that you keep smiling regardless, and know that everything that you need will be provided for you. Your role is to step outside of figuring it all out and just to trust. And we understand that that will go against everything you've been taught and your beliefs, but we assure you, you will get everything you need. A lot of you will be encountering many visitations from the world of the unseen, the world of spirit and vibration. And this in turn will cause a lot of pandemonium to most, because they will have no idea of what is happening. And we assure you, this is you moving into a different vibration. These energies have been here far before you ever were, and it's a case that you're aligning to the vibrations now so that you have an experience of them, whereas before you was not aligned, and therefore you did not have any knowledge or experience of these beings, entities, being in your current moment timeline, but they always have been. So do not be alarmed. A lot of you will be receiving some beautiful inspiration coming in from your spirit guides and your spirit team. This inspiration is to help you catapult your reality into new vibrational frequencies, to help humanity. Now, a lot of you may feel and think that the information or ideas that are being shared with you, how are they going to help the greater good of the all? And we say, from small ripples, mighty ideas will come forward and new vibrational alignments will come forward. But it all starts with a ripple effect, and that is what is happening. So trust the information that is being gifted to you, because you are part of this new timeline, and you are all going to make positive changes in moving it forward. By September of this year, 2025, there will be a lot of worry, a lot of concern, because you will start to see the old is crumbling away. And so there will be that element of fear rising up naturally, because no one will know where the Savior is and who is coming to change it. And we say, you are all going to change it. And you all change it. Remember what we refer to as the ripple effect, by collectively bringing forward your inspirations and having the courage to speak of them, and living your lives as you so see fit, rather than following the narrative of others, a small minority that wish to control and rinse you for all your worth. In September, you will notice that you will be required to stand in your power by living your truth, regardless of the circumstances around you. You are all beacons of light, and it is now time for you to stand proud and shine, because the world needs you right now. We hope this has given you something to consider and encourage you to live your life slightly differently in order to move and thrive on this new trajectory moving forward. We send you our uppermost respect and love and healing at these most transformative times. And if you are ever confronted with fear or panic, we implore you to do some breath work and slow your breathing down, and to ground your energies to be present, for this is where your true authenticity and power resides. Thank you for listening. God bless you all.
A fantastic communication there from the world of spirit. Very interesting to hear about the challenges that on a personal level we're all going to experience. Some of these old energies that will be rising up to the surface, and to have that encouragement from spirit to actually allow ourselves to process them, to go through them, rather than ignoring them and pushing them to one side. And in doing so, by going through them and allow ourselves to process this information, albeit maybe ancient information going back right into our past, whether it's emotional, mental, spiritual, just allow ourselves to go through it and process it will be very transformative for us all, where we can allow ourselves to move into the next level of our vibration there. Also, trust ourselves through this process and take one step at a time, rather than forcing things to happen or maybe to quicken up the healing process. Just allow ourselves that process one step at a time, and be aware of this trapped energy that a lot of us are carrying around. There may be something in your life that will trigger these emotions. Maybe this is old anger, frustration that suddenly comes from nowhere. Maybe you're a calm, collective individual, and all of a sudden you feel this anger and frustration rising to the surface. Very encouraging to hear from Spirit, just to allow that energy to be expressed through ourselves. Now, we can do this in a positive, constructive manner, maybe turning this energy into either physical exercise or going for a walk or a run or drumming or anything like that, just to allow that energy to express itself through you there. But interesting to hear about the financial system changing there as well, and not to allow ourselves to be triggered on a personal level financially, even though for a lot of us, life can seem to be very compromising on a financial level. From what Spirit was saying there, to trust the process, because the tables are turning in terms of wealth. Interesting that Spirit mentioned that the financial system is no longer sustainable and it will eventually crash where everything will form a more level playing field, where we'll all get what we need when we need it. So don't hold that vibration of fear, worrying about where we're going to get the next few pounds or pence in order to sustain ourselves. In other words, trust the process, because Spirit have our back, and we will all get what we need when we need it. So that was a wonderful communication there from Spirit. I really felt that was very encouraging. So now we're going to move on to the next segment of the show, which is this week's forecast reading. So if you'd like to sit back, relax, take a few notes if you wish, and enjoy this week's forecast reading. Hello, my name is Glenn Boddice, and welcome to this week's energy forecast reading for the week commencing Monday, the 28th of April, 2025. Now, those of you that have watched me work before will know that I consult my spirit guides and helpers, and also consult the wisdom of the Angel Tarot card. So what I'm about to do is shuffle the pack and allow a card to come out for this week's energy forecast reading. So here is your card for this week's energy forecast reading. I'm now going to link into the vibration of that and bring forward the information to you. First of all, I'm hearing the word changes, changes, changes are coming in thick and fast for you this week. This week will see you making snap decisions where perhaps in the past you've been dilly-dallying about certain aspects of your life. This week you're going to be straight to the point with that. And also this week we'll see you focusing in on what makes your heart sing. It doesn't matter whether this is a hobby, an interest, a love or romantic connection, even a new work role there. It will see you actually giving that more time and attention. And by you doing that, you will start to reap the rewards that you've been working so diligently towards. This week will also see a change in your health matters. It will see you appreciating life on a different level there, where instead perhaps you've dilly-dallied in the past, you're going to be more direct, straight to the point, and you're going to be like a child-like vibration. This is the end of the free version of the weekly forecast reading. If you would like to see the entirety of this week's forecast reading, then you can do that by subscribing. And as a subscriber, what you will receive is the full version of the weekly forecast reading. You will also receive the audio for the weekly radio show, and also you'll receive 10% off all of my spiritual services there. So this includes all of the readings there for you to benefit from. And also you will receive new updates and information and news of what's happening with myself and the services that I provide, and also the events that I take part in. You'll hear all about that ahead of everybody else. And this is because you're a subscriber to Glenn Boddice Spiritual Medium. So you can find a link either above or below this video, where by clicking on the link, you can then become a subscriber to reap all of the benefits that I've described to you. So I look forward to having you on this journey with me as a Glenn Boddice Spiritual Medium subscriber. Thank you for taking time to watch this video and supporting the work that Spirit and myself work together in doing so. Well, I hope that resonated with you. Now, many of you will be noticing there has been a slight change with the forecast reading there. And that slight change has been encouraged about some recent events that I've experienced in my life, and the communications that I've had from my guides inspiring me to make these changes. Now, what I'm talking about with this is, as you've noticed, we've now moved into a subscription-based format, so that if you are wanting to listen to the full version of the weekly forecast reading, then you can still do so by subscribing to Glenn Boddice Spiritual Medium on the links above or in this description there. And the reason for that is, if you did or didn't know, I've been doing the weekly forecast readings now every week without fail for the last 5 years. And it's been a privilege and a pleasure to do that. And I've enjoyed every moment of it. But recently I've gone through some, I would say, health issues. And during that time, there's been a change in my vibration, and my guides have communicated with me, and they've said, Glenn, it's now time to offer a subscription-based service where people can experience the reading fully by doing so. There will be a free version, and they mentioned how long in length they would like me to do that for, which I'd adhered to their advice. And I asked, well, what is the reason for this? And they said, well, for one, your vibration has changed. And for another, we need to address the balance in your vibration and in your life. And they said that because you've been giving for so much, for so long, to so many, you've actually depleted yourself on a vibrational level. And so I said, okay, so what would you like me to do? And then they explained in great detail the process in which I've now implemented with the forecast reading. I followed their guidance to the word, to the letter. And they said it's not about necessarily the finances, the money thing, as many people may assume that that's why I've gone down this avenue. Not at all. My guide said it's about the energy exchange. Personally, they were saying that I was giving a lot of energy and that energy wasn't coming back in equal measures. So as we know, money is a vibration, is a frequency, is a term of exchange of energy there. And so this is what has inspired that change in this process. So it's nothing, it's not engineered by greed or anything like that. Some of you may be thinking that, but I assure you that I'm not that sort of person. If you saw the lifestyle that I lead, you would be quite surprised. You'd be quite shocked and surprised. So that is the reason for that change in the format with the weekly forecast reading. So I hope you all understand and can appreciate the level of dedication and energy and enthusiasm and passion that my spirit guides and myself have put into this for the last 5 years. And we will continue to put that same level of enthusiasm and passion and energy into it. It's just that it's changing slightly so that we can balance up that energy exchange between my guides, myself, and yourselves there. So I hope you understand that. I do appreciate all of your support, and it does help me to continue the work that I do along with my guides in order to bring all of this content and information forward. So I hope you've enjoyed this week's episode. I hope you've been inspired by the information that has been inspired by Spirit, and in many cases channeled through myself from Spirit. And I hope it's given you a different perspective in how you look at the world and yourself and your life slightly differently, in order to connect in with your highest timeline and to be the best version of yourself in any one given moment. After all, we all have the power to create change and to benefit from our choices. So if you have any questions to the show that you would like answering, maybe you're curious about the spiritual, self-help, paranormal world, and you would like me to explore a particular avenue or topic within that genre, then please do get in touch with me by either connecting with my website, www.glennboddicespiritualmedium.com, messaging me there, or you can email me at glennboddice@live.co.uk. And as ever, it would be an absolute pleasure to communicate with you, get your feedback on the show, and obviously build a show around the question that you've had in your mind there. So also do be aware there's going to be a slight change in format with the radio show, in the up and coming weeks. All will be revealed nearer to the time. But what this means is there's going to be more inspirational content coming your way. And also there's going to be the opinions of others. There's going to be guests on the show there. And also for some of the episodes, we will be moving into a video format as well as the audio format as well, so that you can see and interact with the guests that take part in the show. So in the meantime, I wish you a wonderful week ahead. Thank you for supporting myself and the page and this show. And you can join me the same place, same time on all of my media platforms, 4 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time with this very show. Take care. God bless.
Thank you for listening to From Beyond. For more information about what products
services Glenn provides. Go to glennboddicespiritualmedium.com